5 bombers vanished off the coast of Florida in 1945. That part everybody knows. What almost nobody talks about is what happened 4 hours later, when the Navy sent a second plane out to find them. 13 men climbed aboard. They took off into the dark. And they were never seen again either. This isn't the story of Flight 19. This is the story of the rescue that became its own disappearance. December 5th, 1945. Fort Lauderdale, Florida. 5 Navy bombers take off on a routine training exercise. Nothing unusual. The kind of flight these pilots had run a dozen times before. By 4 in the afternoon, something's wrong. The flight leader radios in. His compass is malfunctioning. He doesn't know which direction is west. And the men flying beside him, some of them still in training, are starting to panic. For the next 2 hours, ground control listens as 5 aircraft drift further off course, arguing with each other over the radio about which way land is. Then, just after 6 p.m., the transmissions stop. All of them, all at once. 5 planes, 14 men, gone. This is the part of the story everyone's heard. It's the reason Flight 19 became a legend. The reason people still whisper Bermuda Triangle every time it comes up. But here's what most retellings skip completely. The Navy didn't just lose one flight that night. At 7:27 p.m., less than 2 hours after Flight 19's last transmission, a search and rescue plane takes off from Naval Air Station Banana River. Its call sign, Training 49. It's a PBM Mariner, a massive twin-engine seaplane built to fly low over open water, scanning for survivors. 13 men are on board. Their job is simple. Find Flight 19. Bring them home. A second Mariner, Training 32, launches alongside them. The 2 planes head out together, into the exact stretch of ocean where the bombers went dark. 3 minutes after takeoff, Training 49 radios in. A routine check-in, nothing alarming, just a crew confirming they're underway. It's the last anyone ever hears from them. At 7:50 p.m., a tanker ship called the SS Gaines Mills, sailing roughly where Training 49 should have been, sees something strange. A burst of flames, leaping close to 100 feet high, burning on the water for almost 10 minutes. The ship doesn't report it right away. It takes over an hour for that message to reach anyone who could act on it. 9:15 p.m., radioed in as a possible explosion. Position logged, no survivors sighted. 13 men, gone in what looked like a mid-air explosion, in the middle of a search for 5 men who'd already vanished. And for more than an hour, nobody even knew. Here's what the Navy's official report says happened to Training 49. The PBM Mariner had a known design flaw. Its cabin often filled with volatile fuel vapors, especially when crew smoked on board, which, in 1945, almost everyone did. One spark, one cigarette, lit at the wrong moment, and the whole aircraft could go up like a bomb. Simple, tragic, case closed. Except, if that's really what happened, if this was just bad luck, a known mechanical flaw meeting a lit cigarette, why does the story get buried every single time Flight 19 comes up? Why do most documentaries about the Lost Squadron never even mention that a rescue plane went down too? And here's the detail that should stop you cold. The S. Gaines Mills wasn't just any ship passing by. It was already searching the area, because it had been alerted to Flight 19's disappearance hours earlier, which means 2 separate, unrelated aircraft went down in the same stretch of ocean on the same night within hours of each other. The Navy's answer to that coincidence is essentially, bad night, bad luck, 2 unrelated accidents. Not everyone who's studied this agrees. There's a detail that rarely makes it into the official retelling, and it's the one that keeps researchers coming back to Training 49 decades later. The escort carrier USS Solomons was tracking the search on radar that night. Its crew watched both Mariners take off together, fly in formation for a while, then split apart. And at the exact position and the exact moment that the 2 planes separated, the Gaines Mills reported the explosion. The radar confirms it. Training 49 didn't just vanish somewhere in 100 miles of open ocean. Its final position is pinned down almost to the minute, which makes the official explanation both more and less satisfying at the same time. A PBM Mariner catching fire wasn't rare. It happened often enough that veteran crews had a grim nickname for the aircraft, the flying gas tank. Fuel vapor pooling in the cabin, one spark, and the whole plane could go up. Pre-flight checks that day reportedly found no fuel fume issues on the aircraft, flown by Lieutenant Junior Grade Walter Jeffrey and his crew. But here's the part that tells you the Navy itself wasn't fully convinced by its own paperwork. The official Board of Inquiry transcript didn't just note the clean pre-flight check and move on. It went deep, extensive testimony specifically about gas fumes and about smoking regulations on board. Investigators were digging into whether someone lit a cigarette at exactly the wrong moment, in a plane that had just been cleared as safe hours earlier. That's not routine box checking. That's the Navy's own board treating somebody made a mistake as seriously as the plane simply failed. Under the official theory, Training 49 isn't really a mystery at all. It's a known mechanical risk that happened to catch up with them on the worst possible night, in the worst possible place, right when the world was already watching that patch of ocean. Both readings can't fully satisfy every detail: the precision of the radar track, the proximity to Flight 19, the fact that no wreckage large enough to identify was ever formally recovered and confirmed. What we're left with is this: the Navy closed the file. The families of 13 men got a folded flag and an explanation that fit neatly on one page. And the story got absorbed into a bigger, flashier mystery. One where a rescue plane full of men who ran toward danger became a footnote instead of its own tragedy. Ask most people what happened to Flight 19 and you'll get Bermuda Triangle. A knowing look, maybe a joke about aliens. Ask them about Training 49 and you'll get silence. Most people have never heard the name. That's the real story here. Not aliens, not a vortex in the ocean, but how easily 13 men who died trying to save 5 others got erased from a legend that made room for everything except them. The tanker crew who watched that fireball burn for 10 minutes never got their names in the documentaries. The families of Training 49's crew never got the same national fascination that Flight 19's families did. They got a version of the story where their sons and husbands are barely a footnote. A search plane was also lost that night. One sentence, buried at the bottom of a Wikipedia page, next to a legend built on aliens and lost continents. Whatever actually happened to Training 49 that night, mechanical failure, bad luck, or something the official report doesn't fully explain, 13 men went looking for the missing, and nobody ever went looking for them. So the next time somebody brings up the Bermuda Triangle, and Flight 19 comes up like it always does, ask them if they've ever heard of Training 49. Chances are they haven't. If you want the full story of Flight 19 itself, the compass failure, the final radio call, everything the investigation actually found, that's already up on the channel, link in the description. But there's one more piece of this puzzle we haven't covered. The Navy needed someone to blame for what happened to Flight 19, and they found someone. Whether that's actually who was at fault is a different question. That's the next video.